talk about the unsung heroes in the transport and logistics sector and bring together notable stakeholders like you all to discuss the way forward. As a follow-up to the successful first session of the leaders of road transport last year, TV Network now brings to you second season. We have all gathered here today, and we are here today to discuss the key pillars of transport and logistics sector. As India's road transport network expands and rapidly expands, we are the number 2 in the world, just behind the US. TV9 Network is happy to carry the legacy of the successful initiative from the last year forward. In the season 2, we will recognize success of all transporters like you all and the achievements and your businesses and its success stories and the way forward for nation as far as mobility is concerned. Leaders of Road Transport Conclave is the first phase of this campaign. It is designed to bring together key pillars by achieving smart mobility ecosystem. Now, what is a smart mobility ecosystem? Road safety, technology, innovation, and sustainability. We're hoping to touch on all of those key pillars. Now, you are the stakeholders, and since you are the stakeholders, nothing like beginning by speaking to you all, which is where this session kicks off. The conclave sets off in Delhi, and we are here in Bengaluru today to discuss some of these crucial topics related to transportation, logistics, bottlenecks, challenges, and a roadmap ahead. I hope with that, we've set the context for what's to come. Let's quickly take a look at this AV.
बदलावों को जो बेबाकी से स्वीकार करता है, मिसाल कायम कर ही जाता है। इसी जज्बे के साथ नए बदलावों को अपनाते हुए भारत की इकोनॉमी को एक नई रफ्तार दे रहा है देश का रोड एंड ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर। ट्रांसपोर्ट और लॉजिस्टिक्स सेक्टर के शाइनिंग स्टार्स के जुनून और हौसलों को नई उड़ान देने के लिए पिछले साल कॉन्टिनेंटल टायर्स के साथ मिलकर TV9 नेटवर्क ने लीडर्स ऑफ रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट के सीजन 1 का सफल आयोजन किया और अब इसका सीजन 2 लौट रहा है बिल्कुल नए अंदाज में। इस साल अवार्ड से पहले ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर से जुड़े कई बड़े स्टेक होल्डर्स के साथ हम ला रहे हैं थॉट लीडरशिप कॉन्क्लेव की एक सीरीज, लीडर्स ऑफ रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट कॉन्क्लेव। देश में बढ़ रहे एक्सप्रेसवेज और हाईवेज का जाल, क्या रख रहे हैं हम रोड सेफ्टी का ख्याल? इनोवेशन के साथ फ्लीट को कैसे करें स्केल अप? नई टेक्नोलॉजी के सहारे हमारा रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट नेटवर्क आज कैसे बन रहा है मिसाल? और गो ग्रीन का लक्ष्य साधे ट्रांसपोर्ट सेक्टर में हम सस्टेनेबिलिटी कैसे रख सकते हैं बरकरार? और भी ऐसे कई खास विषयों पर आपके जैसे देश के जाने माने फ्लीट ओनर्स और कॉन्टिनेंटल सीनियर लीडरशिप के साथ हम करेंगे आज चर्चा और साथ में जानेंगे कॉन्टिनेंटल के इनोवेटिव और टेक ड्रिवन कॉन्टी 360 डिग्री फ्लीट सर्विसेज के बारे में भी। तो चलिए लीडर्स ऑफ रोड ट्रांसपोर्ट कॉन्क्लेव का करें आगाज और साथ मिलकर तैयार करें एक नया रोड मैप।
I think that deserves a round of applause. And with that, we kickstart the Continental Presents Leaders of Road Transport Award. Now remember, Continental Tires has been at the spearhead of innovation and technology in fleet solutions as well as services. Let me call upon Rajneesh Kochgave, Head of India Market, Direct Sales Head, Continental Tires. He will, of course, talk about company's vision as far as contributing and its contribution to fleet and technology is concerned. Mr. Kochgave, please. Thank you.
Good morning once again, or good morning again to everybody. and a warm welcome to all of you. A big thank you from our side, from Continental, the entire team of Continental here, for taking out time from a busy schedule and to be willing to be participating here in this. It's an informal discussion where we would like to share our thoughts as well as hear from you, your expectation, your perspectives on the different topics that we have already discussed. Continental, as you must be knowing, we are a pretty old organization. We started somewhere in 1871. We celebrated 150 years in 2021 in October. If you look at the scenario right now, we see a lot of organizations growing, and then for whatever reason, they're not either innovating or they get complacent or they don't invest in technologies. We have seen them wrapping up within 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. So for an organization to stay relevant, stay germane, and also command the kind of, I would say, market share and the brand reputation that we carry, over 150 years means a lot to all of us who work at Conti, and we take a lot of pride in terms of what we deliver as products. So if you look at, I think we have spoken enough about what we would like to discuss based on innovation, technology. Sustainability has now become a buzzword. It was something that people used to talk, let's say 5, 10 years ago, but now it's absolutely relevant that we take it very seriously, the kind of climate change that we're looking at. And as Continental, we are committed to bring carbon footprint down, bring neutrality, use recyclable materials into our product that go into it. And we have a Vision 2030 and Vision 2050, which we're working on it, even in India. Can we play that video, which will... So, there are a lot of firsts that we see that we have been innovating over a period of time in the long journey that we have had. And coming on to the transport, why we feel that it's so important and why we need to recognize and felicitate people who are dedicatedly working in this. I'm convinced that of all the different sectors that we see that run this country, I think transport happens to be one of the, I would say they're like lifeline. We cannot live without oxygen. I think the economy, or let's say day-to-day affairs that we do, starting from the first toothbrush that we have in our hand when we wake up, to everything that we do is, I would say 99% dependent on transport. Just to give you some details, 85% of people movement is happening through road transport. Even after so much of airlines coming in, the data that I have is airlines transport about 1.75 CR every day, and road transport is doing 37 CR every day. That is the kind of, even a train, if you look at it, railways, they do about 2.65, 2.7 CR every day. If you look at the freight, we hear so many things about trains, but still 70% of the freight movement is happening through transport, road transport. We did see the immense contribution during those COVID times when nobody was willing to move, but it was our transporters who kept the engines running. We could get our food, we could get our vegetables, we could get everything we wanted. So that is how, in my opinion, transport is important for us, and we must acknowledge and applaud. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajneesh. All right, moving ahead with the spirit of the conclave, let me quickly invite TV9 Kannada Managing Editor, Mr. Rahul Chaudhary, and Pallavi Kapoor, Head Marketing, Continental Tires, to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Nandini Devi K, Director, KSRTC. Ma'am, can I please invite you on the podium to quickly address the audience?
Can you all hear me? Yeah. Respected Mr. Rahul Chaudhary, TV9 Kannada Editor, and all the senior representatives of the Continental Tires and all the participants, very good morning to all of you. I'm happy to represent KSRTC today in this conclave. As you all know, India is one of the fastest growing economy in the world, and soon will become the most populous country in the world. So at this juncture, improving the road sector will act as a catalyst for the socio-economic development, as already explained by the Continental Tires Director. As of 2021, almost 65 to 70% of the goods transport, it happens through the road sector. Almost 85 to 90% of the passengers commute through the road network. The easy availability, adaptability to the individual needs, as well as the low cost. These are the factors which attracts the commuters to the road sector. And it also helps as a feeding network. So as you all know, there are other modes of transport, such as railways, air traffic, and shipping. So road network also acts as a feeding service to all these other services. So along with this, to improve this existing need, so as we grow into a more populous country, so we need to adjust to the emerging needs. For these, we need an upgradation. We need an upgradation and development of the existing road networks. And as rightly mentioned, technological innovations. So technological solutions, not only for the management of the road transport sector, as well as for serving the citizens, serving the commuters for better user-friendly services. So with respect to Karnataka, as you all know, we have 4 major transport corporations serving majorly the rural public for their access to the employment and the educational opportunities. As of today, all the 4 major corporations, we have 24,261 buses carrying almost 1.05 crore passengers per day, including 18 lakh students who have the free student passes. So we also provide the high quality long distance services, and we also provide the cargo services. So as you all know, RTCs are one of the worst hit during the COVID, and we are also proved our efficiency during the COVID, as rightly explained. So during those 2 years, April 2020 to March 2022, RTCs suffered the worst hit, and our overall ridership reduced to almost 35 lakhs. Even then, we performed efficiently, and it also affected our financial crunch. There were successive lockdowns which affected the people movement, as well as public has a fear of travel in the public transport. because of the risk of contracting the viruses. So one or other viruses might come. So people had this fear. So all this reduced our overall ridership. And the recent Shakti scheme by the Karnataka state government, as you all know, it has acted as a boon to us. So it has lifted our overall ridership to almost 15 to 20% compared to the previous years. We had 84 lakhs passenger per day. And as on today, after the Shakti scheme, we have almost 1.05 crores, almost 15 to 20% boost in our ridership. This allowed the government to permit us to buy more buses. So there are more procurement of buses happening, and also there are recruitment of staffs happening to improve the quality of the services to ensure efficient, effective implementation of the road transport services. So with all these, along with the quantity and other services, we also strive to improve the quality of the services and the road safety and safety of the passengers and the user-friendly interaction across all the platforms for the commuters. And I hope today's conclave will act as an interactive platform for all the stakeholders to discuss the issues and to come up with solutions at our level to improve the road sector for the commuters, passengers, as well as the drivers and the Road Transport Corporation for the private and the public sector overall for the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for gracing the conclave and for apprising us on the developments that Karnataka RTC has made following pandemic. We are very happy to have you. We hope that it's a very interactive session. But before we kickstart the next session, let me quickly make the announcement that I think most of us have been waiting for. The Road Transport Leader Awards will happen and will happen very soon. But for all those who are here attending the event, may I all request you to please go to TV9awards.com and register yourself. Kindly, make sure that you are nominating yourself in the respective categories as are made available on the website. Let's quickly take a look at this video.
They are steering India to success, paving a roadmap with innovation, technology, sustainability and safety. It's that time of the year again to celebrate the shining stars of India's road transport sector. After the roaring success of Season 1 of Leaders of Road Transport Awards, we are back with another glittering edition. Continental presents TV9 Network Leaders of Road Transport Awards 2023.
Leaders of Road Transport Award, the conclave as it starts here in Bengaluru. Registrations and nominations are open. I will repeat the name of the website for all those who are interested in participating. Please nominate yourselves on tv9awards.com. Thank you. But with that, I think we'll begin with the first panel. Let's start the sessions that we've been waiting for. Logistics laggards to leaders, the progress that India has made and Karnataka fleet owners have made, more importantly, when it comes to transport and logistics. Let me quickly invite people who are going to join us. Venu Kondur, co-founder, CEO, Lob Logistics. Prashant Raman, owner, Orange Coaches, to please join us here on the stage. Let's kickstart the first panel. A round of applause, please. Let's lift our spirits. Thank you. So India aims to become a 5 trillion economy by 24-25. So we've just got one more year before we do that. So far, we've primarily been an economy driven by services, not so much by manufacturing. And India has done a lot to make in India, to support Make in India over the course of last many years. Needless to say, logistics, fleet services, transportation plays a very important role in ensuring that India becomes that $5 trillion economy by 24-25. Today's session is important because we are hoping to understand the progress that has been made as far as logistics is concerned, especially almost a year after the National Logistics Policy came into place or kick-started in September of 2022. What better to touch base on the solutions that have come forward, the digitization, the sustainable future, and the roadmap ahead, a year after the National Logistics Policy. Let me quickly get you first, Venu. 1 year since the policy, and we've seen lots of success as far as, and challenges also continue to persist, but in Karnataka specifically, we've seen a success story unfold itself. We've seen solutions come into place, we've seen government also talk about, the need to constantly modify to keep up to date with what are the latest challenges. But in your understanding, what was the biggest success of the National Logistics Policy in 1 year ahead so far, and what are you hoping will change from now on?
So what we have seen is, India as a country, one of the biggest thing that we have seen in the last 3-4 years is, internet penetration, right? I think we are in the right time at the right place, trying to implement technology. Because if we would have done about 10 years back, we didn't have access to smartphones as much as what we have today, right? So it's all about the timing, right? So when National Logistic Policy has been implemented now, what we see is every single transporter and the fleet owner today has a smartphone. So if you want to digitize, you need to have that infrastructure, right? So today we have the infrastructure in place. India consumes about 20 GB of internet every single month compared to the US, which uses about 2 GB only, right? So we are far ahead of US, right? So what this would do is, every single guy is on Facebook, on Instagram, on a WhatsApp, and then looking at the solutions that are available for transportation, right? So today the customers are asking, all the technology companies like us, that mere liye kya hai? Okay, yen madkodtira namge heli, right? So this is what we really love about what's happening. Second is about multi-modal connection. How is air connected with rail, rail connected with, the busing network, right? How do you connect with the trucking network? The last mile connectivity. All these things have to come together to make India more efficient, right? So one of the core things that we have seen is India spends about 15% of the overall GDP on logistics, right? Whereas the developed countries spend about 6 to 7%. So we really need to cut it down to about 10 to 11%, and that could only happen by implementing such large framework at a national scale, right? So that's what we have seen, that how these things are really getting on down. So one of the key things government have initiated is ONDC, right, where you would connect with e-commerce guys and make it much more efficient. And we have seen that at the last mile connectivity has the cost that you incur has come down, right? So these are the things that are happening on the ground with reference to National Logistic Policy that we are all looking forward to make it much more efficient in terms of how we reduce our cost.
You said something interesting. You said the government is spending heavily, and we know
Yes.
government capex spending is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
But as far as private spending is concerned, because a lot of fleet owners are also expected to spend accordingly, at least match that government spending
Yes.
to some extent.
Yes.
Is that also happening?
Absolutely. So I think there is second generation of transporters and the fleet owners. Okay, the thinking has changed. The thinking is all about, because they have access to data today.
Okay.
They are able to see what's happening around, right? It's not about customers who are waiting to see what they will get. Today, the customers are like, what can I get, right? So there is a big shift in people's thinking and how they are looking forward for what they can expect in terms of technology and advancements, right? So that's a big change. So therefore, they are definitely spending, so you would see that people are spending for road safety, for example, an ADAS-based truck, right? Hey, my truck should not collide with another, vehicle in the front, right? So those are a lot of things that people would want to spend.
All right. So the spending is happening.
Absolutely. No second
All right.
thoughts.
All right. Prashant, one of the problems with the logistics operation in this country, which has marred, I think, every state, not just Karnataka, is the cost of logistics. Has that gone down at all?
I would say that there's a lot of spending happening by the government, but it's not reaching down the line. There's some gap between the user and the government, what they are spending. So there needs to be a mechanism put into place where these kind of facilities, policies are made more successful. So like even a small single owner, vehicle owner should be able to adapt to these policies and be able to use those facilities. That is where the lacuna happens.
All right. So when you say there is a gap, can you help us understand where the gap exists and what can, because we have representation, perhaps what can the government really do to bridge that gap?
One small example is like government of Karnataka provides insurance coverage for drivers, but not many drivers are aware about these kind of facilities being provided. So in road safety also there are many schemes provided, but like national highways are many, there are places where the safeties are not yet covered. There are many accident prone zones where vehicle or even lots of lives are happening, but these things are not taken care of.
All right. So there is a lack of understanding,
Yes.
perhaps a lack of awareness.
Yes.
All right. Venu, what can the government do to ensure there is more awareness? Because I think Prashant makes a valid point. He says there are schemes in place, but they're not reaching the last person standing, and that is because there is a gap in communication, also a gap in understanding. How do you bridge that gap in understanding? I mean, I'm sure the responsibility lies not just with the government, but also with the players.
So very good question. So what I have seen on the ground that initiatives have been taken. Okay, so you look at some of the government large corporates like Hindustan Petroleum, Indian Oil, right? So they all run a lot of several campaigns, okay, explaining about not just about insurance, but they also do a health checkup for free for the drivers on road. Okay, they also conduct eye checkup so that the drivers if they need to change their spectacles or they need to add anything, they could do that. Okay, they also run schemes where if there is an accident, right, what kind of help they can get as an assistance, right, if there is a disability due to accident to the driver. So there are certain schemes that they are running. Number two, what I have also observed that Government of India through these corporates have initiated where there are safer and cleaner washrooms for the drivers on highway, right? So there are a lot of initiatives where, I really feel bad for the drivers who run, months together on the road, but they don't have the basic necessity in terms of a hygiene washroom, right? But then through these petroleum companies, government have been spending as CSR schemes, right? Through which they get access to washrooms in a hygiene manner, right? So those things are happening on the ground. And I think there are several campaigns through association, like Karnataka Transport Association or Bombay Goods Transportation, right? So these through association, they conduct these events so that their fleet owners and the respective employees who are drivers are being made aware of these schemes, right? So there are private players also, like large ones like TCI, Gati, these corporates, they also run certain campaigns through which they make their stakeholders aware of, the kind of facilities that they're building. So I think the time has come when people, start recognizing these efforts as well.
All right. You brought in a very interesting point. You said there is lack of awareness or rather absence of enough toilets. Toilets is a necessity. We are in a day and age, we're talking about AC cabins for truck drivers.
Yeah.
And while toilets are still missing, while food, hygiene, basic standard of living is still missing, and I think the government is doing its bit, private companies also should be matching up to those standards very, very quickly. One of the things often when we talk about logistics in the country, one of the things that we, think of is the cost efficiency. If it's not efficient for logistics companies, it's not going to be efficient for either exporters, manufacturers, or the people who are receiving the end product, people or goods. As far as cost efficiency is concerned, what progress and strides have we made?
So one of the, I think there are 4 or 5 of them, okay, in terms of cost efficiency. So if you look at ONDC, right, is one of the key initiatives in terms of how last mile can actually get efficient. Okay, so if you look at Swiggy's and Zomato's and Flipkart's and Amazon's, all these guys do last mile. Okay, so today the cost of per delivery has really come down, since this network has begun about 4 or 5 months back, right? It's been a mega successful after UPI and other implementation that Government of India has done, right? So that's number one. Number two, what we think is this multi-modal initiative where, the air, sea, rail, and road transportation, they have to connect the dots with each other through
Bharat
technology.
Mala, the Sagar Mala.
Absolutely,
right.
It's needed, right? So I think if you don't do that, then we are all disconnected and we are in silos, right? So we don't have to be in silos. We need to work with each other to see that. Say, for example, KSRTC, is having a bus which can actually carry half a ton of, load, and there is a truck which is possibly nearby. They could actually shake hands and do much better, right? And reduce the cost. And there is, of course, the great mega infrastructure of rail network. I think we are one of the best in the world. In terms of rail, and we are second largest in terms of road network. So when these networks collaborate with each other, the efficiency is bound to happen. And this is just the beginning right now.
All right. And Prashant, as far as efficiency, you run a fleet of services. As far as efficiency is concerned, have things become efficient after pandemic, or are we yet to reach the pre-pandemic level? Do you think we are there yet?
According to my perception, there are a lot of things which has changed. The whole industry has gone to a reform.
Good or bad reform?
It's mixed.
Okay.
It's mixed.
Let's talk about the good and then the bad.
Good is, we saw good potential for almost 1.5 years. Then it has slowly died down. The business is not as that good. And the bad part is financial aspect. Lot of them, many fleet owners or even individual owners, due to government policies, they were not able to fulfill financial commitments during Corona or later than that. What has happened is the CIBIL has affected and government has not taken care of that part. So whoever has done very good business and miserably suffered during Corona, they are not able to get back. The reputed operators have gone into not being existent now. So government should take care of that part. And the good part is, what I would say is, there are mixed, as he mentioned, the Zomato deliveries, there's last mile delivery partners have increased. In that way, it is good, but in the bad part is many transporters are not able to recover post-Corona.
Okay, let's take a quick poll, quick vote, where show of hands, is the business back to pre-pandemic level? Show of hands, is the business back to pre-pandemic level? Okay, I see one hand. Is the business back to pre-pandemic level? Is the business down compared to pre-pandemic level? Show of hands. Okay, so I think in a very small, closed, focus group, we can ascertain that the business is not as good. If it's not doing best, it's not as good as pre-pandemic levels. Before I let you go, I'm out of time. Venu, to you first, and then I'll come to you, Prashant. What can the government do at this point in time? Because the government is very amenable when it comes to, it's been only 1 year since the national logistics policy. There is digital integration. Government is hoping to reach to the last mile, person at the last mile, the resource at the last mile, and making sure that as far as infrastructure is concerned, we grow rapidly. Just 1 year ahead of the national elections as well. So what can the government do? Your suggestions?
So one is giving incentives, which will help them to become much more sustainable in the business. Like Prashant mentioned that, there are a lot of, fleet owners and transporters were affected while the pandemic had hit, and then they could never recoup after that, right? There are old debts that they're all, into. It's a very hard time, right? And there are a lot of them who are unable to pay their EMI month on month, right? So if there are any incentives where they can actually, have like a holiday in terms of the EMIs that they have to pay, that would really help, right? Incentives in terms of, structure which is created for these fleet owners that could make them, like for example, AC is getting, mandatory, right? But then there could be, incentives that they may have to get to make the diesel cost much more cheaper.
The cost of vehicle going up
right,
as a
right.
result.
So therefore, you can't have the capital cost also going up and my monthly cost also going up, right? So then it becomes a business that
Double
is not
whammy.
viable. Yeah,
Right.
So therefore, some of these incentives in terms of where the cost of interest which they pay, that could come down. The GST implementation, there about 28% of GST has been paid on purchasing the vehicle, right? And a lot of them at times they don't get input credit for that. Is there a provision that they could have some leeway on those things, right? So these things would really make, so if there is reduction in GST in terms of the 28%, if that could come down, that would really help in terms of making the business much more viable, right? And if they all all these transporters have been there for 50, 60 years, and some of them are second generation and third generation, right? So if they had suffered during 2020, 2021, it would take a lot of pain and effort to really get out from there. So these incentives are must for the industry to move on, right? And this is the fundamental industry for the country.
Absolutely. Prashant?
If I get a chance, I would shout loud and say that we are part of the industry. I would like to tell government that we are part of the industry, we are part of the firm. Please consider us for whatever discussions and policies they make. So we can throw our best views on those subjects, but unfortunately that doesn't happen.
All right, Prashant, I think we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We will continue with this discussion. I think I'll have to let you go. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll begin with the same topic, panel 2, in just about a minute. May I please call upon Natraj Sharma, State President for Private Transport Association Union. Radhakrishna Holla, President, Karnataka State Travel Operations Association President. B. Someswaram, owner, Kulotungnam Lorry Services. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correct, sir. The only Kannada I know is Kannada Gotila. So my sincere apologies for that. All right, I think we're good to start. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you for taking time out. I think it's been a very interesting conversation. We were talking, but I think all of you raised your hands. It's interesting because all of you were sitting here. I could see your faces. You raised your hands. Business is not back to normal. Challenges and difficulties continue to persist. While, it's not easy, not just for Karnataka, but for the entire country to come out from pangs of pandemic where entire economy came to a standstill, not just for India, but for all countries. I want to focus on the roadmap ahead. To begin with you, sir, the roadmap ahead as far as, logistics is concerned. We understand the challenges exist, not just in exist as far as national logistics policy is concerned. What sort of changes would you suggest to the government?
And my pranams to all today participating in this debate really. Firstly, I want to come to a point where Mr. Venu has raised that government is giving a lot of hopes and support to this industry. either we have to consider this as a painful, to say that even a meager support is not being extended by the government when the entire industry is collapsed in the nation. It is in 2020-21. Fortunate enough that when the government has not supported, it is the associations, owners associations, drivers associations has supported himself, and not only supporting themselves, it has also extended their hands to the government in delivering the goods to the needy, even the life-saving accident kits. Whereas it is coming to another part. As everyone has stated here, everyone knows, everyone read in the papers, and you also stated that it is the one of the industry, and we are there standing in a third position in the entire nation in contributing to the GDP. 15 to 20% of the entire GDP has been invested by the government on the infrastructure and other things. When it comes to a matter of taking a status in this industry, or status in the nation and status in the records of the government, it is very unfortunate, even till today, after the 75 years of our independence, we've been considered as an unorganized industry. Very funny is this. Because we are not unorganized. It is the government has made us to be kept in an unorganized sector. See, the owners here are most of the people have an MBA degree, master's degree, and I too have two companies. We have a logistics, I'm a bus owner. I have a technologist, Ashwala Associates as a Lord, this one. And Ashwa Technologies in a technological, this one. Ashwa Logistics belongs to my brother. And even keeping all these things, if you go to a government, we will not going to get a meager support from the government unless and until we pressurize them and we bring them to a vacuum where they have to accept with pressure.
All right.
This is the situation. I'm sorry to say again this. And I look forward with whoever may be. I also worked as a road safety committee member, executive committee member from 2019 to 23, even just. But when it comes to a matter of spending the money to the drivers, it is very unfortunate. Maybe our KSRTC MD has gone left with this meeting, I think so, director. See, even the government will hesitate to spend on the government, even in the drivers.
Okay.
They don't want to educate them. Whichever may be government, I am not identifying so and so government, I am not recognizing and pointing such and such parties. Each and every government has neglected. So my demand and request, see, when you are a part of the government, when we are contributing such a huge revenue without expectation and without getting any minor support from your governments, why can't you be considered and give us an industrial status? Our memorandums are lying with the central government and also the state. No industrial ministers has considered as and today. After I took up as a president of the Bus Owners Association and president of Federation of Private Transport Association, I have written 2 letters. One is in the present government to the last government, that is in BJP 2022, and also now presently one more request also has been given to the industrial minister. That also is pending and lying with the government.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Radhakrishna Holla, do you agree with that? Do you agree the government has not done enough?
This government is making only policy. That policies are not touching for the state level. See, Mr. Venu sir has told many things. That is that we are getting GST input credit and all. But all the peoples are not getting, all are not registered in 28% or 18% or 12%, or we are all are in the basic 5%. We are not getting any inputs. And also in before Euro 4 model of vehicle, 2019, Once pandemic started 2020, same time automobile manufacturers are changed and central government is also modified Euro 6 and all. Now vehicle cost is to more than 40% vehicle cost has increased. And after that we are also in fuel consumption and all, changed many of rules and regulations changed in the central government. But we are in what traditional peoples, what Mr. Prashant is told, what is the basic level transporters are in the goods transport or passenger transport or taxi or auto rickshaw. They are in the same economy level, they are not in changed. They are not having any benefits or incentives, or central government is not giving any incentives. See, we are now going for the Euro 6 model vehicle. We are buying just one Innova Krista vehicle. Before the COVID, we are getting only 15.5 lakh or 16 lakh rupees, and including road tax and all 18 lakh. Now same vehicle 28 lakh rupees or 29 lakh rupees. How much increase? That is near 50% increase. And same cost, some other small vehicles are the same cost, and higher value vehicles are same. The truck or other chassis also in heavily rate is changed, but not getting the incentive for a single owners or in partnership companies. Only who are investing in the out of the country peoples. I think you know now China investing in here, India, many of other bankers are investing in here. Lot of investor companies are coming, they are only successful business people. But we are in the generally, we are localites are not going up. That is one very big problem in competing for these peoples. That is in very large level. See, now central government tourism department is now immediately taking some prasadam, some schemes are come. See, now Karnataka also more than 4 to 5 temples are now getting that benefits. That is central government benefit. Immediately, when central government is passing that budget, within a 1 month that is including all the places. But see, what you told in the wayside amenities you are told, no? Wayside amenities, central government 2-3 years back only passed that wayside amenities, and for every place is also notified also in states also, but not started that wayside amenities. Now in our truck driver or taxi driver or touristers or international touristers, not getting that benefit. What you are telling, we are given the instruction for the petrol bunk people. So see, petrol bunk, we can't, the driver immediately, if you need any emergency time, driver is going. But my passengers or a good passenger or international passengers can't go for the petrol bunk. And the ladies are not ready to go for the petrol bunks. See, this is very big problem. And same, see, competing in, we have the Bangalore, Karnataka state, in small state, in very good state, very good faithful state. See, we have the 7 airports in Karnataka state. We are before 2014 only 4,000 kilometer national highway, now 7,500 kilometer national highway. But this motor vehicle conditions, rules, permit condition, and that old 20 years back condition. What is the 20 years back? What is the rules and regulation? What is the check post that is undigitalized, removed? Same condition now also running. What is the 2014 come? Motor Vehicle Act. We are welcomed for Motor Vehicle Act, but not changed norms and regulations. See, I am telling, what is the national central government's policies telling? Each and last nook and corner also touched that policies. See, so, that policy is only in Parliament House, not coming for the basic level businessman. That is I'm telling.
Okay, so my understanding is that the implementation is slow, and the modernization is extremely slow as well.
Yes,
the state hasn't been able to play catch up with central government policies. Perhaps that needs to be done, faster rather than later. Let me also get in Someshwaram to weigh in on what your co-panelists said and expand further. We understand that there are challenges in Karnataka, and something very interesting Mr. Radhakrishnan said, and he said that it feels like we're 20 years back. We haven't played catch up yet. But when it comes to data and statistics, it appears that a lot has changed. Operational costs have come down. There is better connectivity today, roads are getting better. I understand every third day we look at pothole conditions in Karnataka, and it's a sorry state of affairs, but not just in Karnataka, the same is the case in Maharashtra, same is the case with various other states. So perhaps state governments there need to do better, need to buckle up. Would you agree that at least some road has been traveled, or you concur with what your other panelists are saying, that it's sorry state of affairs, it's not getting any better?
I wouldn't agree with the data what they are talking with.
Okay.
See, basically, I would rather like to talk about the practical problems what we are
Absolutely.
facing. So, see, practically today the industry is dying because most of the industry is based on single truck owner. A single truck owner who has suffered for the past 3 years in the pandemic and still is yet to come out of the problem. As the gentleman early Mr. Prashant, I think he was mentioning about pandemic and any benefits to the truck department. See, there wasn't any holiday period for any of the truck owners, individual owners, for this period of pandemic, wherein they had to pay their EMIs even if the vehicle was not running. But the government did announce that they have been giving a lot of funds and a lot of incentive. But in practical, we have not got any benefit, to be frank. They did give loans who's having already taken loans. Yes, they did extend the loans with the same, hypothecation what we had on the trucks. So these kind of things, there is no interest holiday given to any of the truck owners, and still it is yet to come out of the thing. That is what I would like to say. Datas, I don't know from where they get the datas. So these things we cannot agree with practically.
Okay. So to expand on that, and
Yes.
this is a question to you still, essentially you're suggesting that during pandemic, a lot of fleet owners who had to suffer because obviously fleet operation came to a standstill, their loans were not restructured, the interests was...
No, loans was restructured.
Loans were restructured?
But
Okay.
there was no interest holiday given to any of them.
No interest holiday
So
was given?
even if the loans were restructured and it was, 2 years loan was transferred to 3 years or 3 years to 4 years, the interest was charged for all the period, each and every single day there was
Absolutely.
interest charged to that.
Right.
So that was to be bared by the truck owner or operator, whoever it is.
And no incentives
There is no
extended.
incentive, purely there was no incentive.
All right. Now that pandemic is behind, Mr. Sharma, to you, we began with you and you set the ball rolling on challenges. I also want to talk about good things because we are here. It's about bringing together positives and negatives and working on the negatives and bolstering the positives. As far as positives is concerned, can you think of what has changed, what has reformed as far as policy level implementation is concerned? I know when you say that policies are made at the central government level, they don't trickle down to state government and the last person standing does not get the benefit. But have you seen a concerted attempt being made to modernize infrastructure? In the first panel, we talked about infrastructure because that is where we can see some sort of change happening. There is increased capex spending from the state government and from the central government. Not that they have a choice. You've got to play catch up. The country's moving. We've got to be a $5 trillion, $10 trillion economy. And to reach that goal, you've got to spend. And the government is spending. So as far as national infrastructure is concerned, there has been progress there. Would you agree with that, sir?
Definitely. One part in the entire nation is that road is getting improved like anything, where we cannot even comparing to other nations. It is number one as we compare to other nations also, as I have seen. See, coming to the other part where the support to the government, support to the infrastructure and support to the industry, it should go hand in hand.
Okay.
See, because, it is from our pockets, the transport industry's pockets. Whatever we pay, that is same has been invested in the roads or whatever maybe the other infrastructure is concerned. So we need to improve much more. And coming to a policy, what happened is that, as my friend Prashant has stated, making a policy is very important thing for the government because, see, all the IAS or IPS or the IRS officers doesn't know what actually the practical problem is, what the owners are facing. We need, the policy is made by an IAS officers, no doubt. And they will take inputs from the whoever may be amenable to them.
Stakeholders.
So stakeholders, amenable to them. See, these amenable to the ministry level, who are these? That is the question actually is pending. These people are the fleet owners, those who are having more than 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 vehicles.
So big fleet owners.
Big fleet owners.
Okay.
But they know how to get things done from the government. And they know how to make their opponents to suppress. So these policies which is coming now is not as good as it was earlier to a small segment owners, like small, or I can say even a middle segment, like the owners who are having below 100 vehicles, mid segment, and the owners who are having the vehicles below 20 vehicles. It is not as good as compared to the fleet owners is concerned. Now coming to a point of policy making, See, I request the government, and we request, as a industry as a whole, I request. See, when you are making a policy, please take into our consideration, our views, our expectations, our problems, what actually the problems we are facing on the ground. That can be given by only a single, as Kulattungan proprietor has said. See, it is a single owners who can give what actually, this is here single vehicle in the sense, the government has to take into consideration that they are owners come drivers. They themselves will drive the vehicles from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. They know what is the problems they are facing. Starting from Kanyakumari, RTO problems, checkpost problems, police problems, traffic problems, and your toll problems. What is happening? What is the issues actually really facing in the tolls? See, the government say in a minute, within 30 seconds, this ATM machines, the toll machines will go to open. Nowhere in the nation you can find within 30 seconds that's a facility we are going to get. See, the practical things are different than what actually the government is putting. But still, compared to, as you said, going ahead with the good developments, compared to earlier, we are placing in a better manner.
All right, I'm happy to get some positive.
Thank you.
Mr. Radhakrishna, you know, as far as digitization is concerned, one of the aims of the National Logistics Policy is to ensure increased digitization, not just better toll connectivity, e-logs, National Integration Program, ensuring that everything is digitized so that the fleet transport becomes smoother than what it was. You know, don't have to stand at tolls for hours and hours, and don't have to stand at counters for hours and hours, and smooth, hassle-free operation. That smooth operation, is it happening, sir? Do you see some digitization? Can you give us from your own practical understanding of what sort of digitization has happened on ground?
See, madam, now see that EV vehicles and ethanol vehicles, that vehicles are not needed road tax, not needed permit conditions. Once you register the vehicle, you run the own use or you run the taxi. You run every state, no problem. Which state you register the vehicle, no problem. Within India, you run that vehicle. See, once we are the fleet owners or a single owner. The fleet owners, how many members in India? Only 5%. Logistic or goods or passenger, only 5% people. In our industry, only 5% people have the fleet owners. Other people are single vehicle owners or 5 people, less than 8 vehicles owners. That's why we are unnecessarily telling fleet owners. That is only for Continental tire companies looking for a fleet owners. But association people are looking only single owners. That is the. See, we are the single owners facing regular problem means this is the problem. What their permit conditions, every state separate tax systems. That is not easy run the vehicle. See, now national permit policies run. But Tamil Nadu and Kerala is now also taking separate taxes. See, what is the value of that national permit? How we run the vehicle? And same type, see, we are operating the employee transportation. Bangalore is a very big IT hub. We are operating more than 25,000 vehicles running for the employee transportation purpose. We are a separate permit for that employee transportation vehicle also. See, we are running luxury taxis, tourist purpose and on-call services and all. That permit is separate. Same period, same time, same place, EV vehicle and ethanol vehicles running without permit, without. How we compete and how we sustain this business? See, now that ethanol vehicle or EV vehicle or costly vehicle and the new finances schemes are getting there, they are getting the vehicle, they are running vehicle same period, same place. But we are in the traditional peoples run the same drama, make it same market. How we can run this business? That is very trouble. That's why telling I am, that is all the system is 20 years old. Many 2014, 2013, 2012, this Ministry of Road Transport, that is many meetings are run. Throughout India, make the one policy. That is TDC meeting, Transport Development Council meetings run. That period, make the single tax system, make the 6% or 8%. But Karnataka state is first to make the 16% life tax for the vehicle. Other states are, northeast states are make the 6%, 4%, 3% and all. That Himachal Pradesh is 3%, I think. That now Karnataka is most of the highest tax. Same following Kerala also started, now Tamil Nadu is also started. This policy is this is business peoples, we are facing lot of problem. Right. So we are in just 35 kilometer passer, Tamil Nadu industrial estate is coming, just 60 kilometer passer, just airport to 30 kilometer, Andhra is starting, we take the other permits and all. Why that ethanol vehicle is not have the permit, electric vehicles not have the permit, we are the diesel vehicle, we are running the yellow board vehicle, we are have the permit system. This is a long back system, this is a very old system. That's why I am telling, modernize all the systems. See, some people's getting benefits, some people's not getting the benefit. We not sustain we not compete each other, no? That is only I am telling.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There needs to be more parity when it comes to fleet operation.
Yes.
Mr. Someswaram, interesting point of view, and I wanted to discuss this further in the next panel, which is on sustainable fleet operations, sustainability. But since we talked about e-vehicles and we've touched on how there seems to be some sort of disparity between running an ICE engine vehicle versus running an ethanol or an electric vehicle, government is pushing towards electric vehicle, and rightly so. It's difficult to live in a sustainable future while also have heavy polluting vehicles on our streets. That is the agenda, and the agenda is very clear: electrification of vehicles. I know it will not happen anytime soon, and it's a huge operational challenge. It's also very, very costly. In your assessment, what sort of support can the government dole out to electrify the existing fleet and also ensure that there is more parity? Since I'm not sure if you can give me a number also on what % of the fleet today is electric. I don't think it's quite possible when it comes to very meager.
Very
right.
meager.
All right. So, what can the government do to ensure there's more parity today?
See, basically to bring in the change, we have to conduct a lot of skill development programs wherein to train our drivers to accept this change, first of all, and the single lorry operators to accept the change. And also we have to provide some subsidies and make sure that they get that confidence in this transformation so that they're not left behind. See, as he said, Mr. Radhakrishna Holla said that the major players can really, get investment from sources, and they can transfer things easily. But wherein as a single truck owner, it is very difficult for him. His bread, butter, everything is only with that single truck. So suddenly you come and you scrap that and you get a new electric vehicle. For him, it is not affordable at this condition. So gradually this will happen, it has to happen. But for this, we have to educate them accordingly and make sure that they are all taken into confidence and then move further. I also represent Karnataka Goods Transporters Association as a General Secretary. Thing is, we do conduct a lot of programs like eye camp, health camp, and other awareness camp, road safety camps, along with people like corporates, means with their CSR things, we do conduct. But for this kind of change, we need a lot of support from the government, wherein we can come hand in glove and go for the change.
All right. So support needed from the government. Of course, government has a target of 30% electric fleet by 2030. I don't know how much of that is possible at the moment. Let's do another vote. With a show of hands, how many of you have an electric vehicle, passenger car? How many of you drive an electric? Okay, one. Anybody else? How many of you drive an electric vehicle? Two, okay. Two people, three, four, five. Electric vehicle, okay, 5 people, I believe, in a room of about 20, 30 at the moment. Is there, most of you are fleet owners, do you have any electric truck, electric vehicle in your fleet?
Yeah. How many commercial vehicles that would
commercial
be?
Vehicles, yes. Any
electric
commercial vehicle? Is there an electric commercial? Oh, I see one hand raised. I see 2 hands raised. Okay, in commercial vehicles, we have 2 people. So that's a very skewed ratio, I have to say. Very fast growing.
Fast growing, that's
okay.
only difficult to commercial vehicles.
Right. Market is fast growing, but I see where the challenges lie. I see that there is need for more infrastructure, because you've got to have charging stations, you've got to have e-mobility. It's not easy to have, unless you have e-highways for commercial vehicles, electric commercial vehicles to
cost
operate.
Is also
and the cost.
cost.
I'm sorry, I should have said cost first, but cost being paramount, because it's very, very costly. I'm supposed to wind it up now, but Mr. Sharma, yes, absolutely, sir, go ahead.
My one question to the government authorities and this one. The government is under the wrong perception that EV will going to save a environmental problem. This will become EVs will become the disasters to this nation. and also the world.
Can you explain how?
Yes, see, lithium can be recycled in only once. You can go and search anywhere in the Google search. I've searched and I asked my people to search and get me the documents whether the lithium can be recycled twice or thrice. And what is the life of this lithium battery? Only 5 years.
Fair enough.
Only 5 years. If you recycle it, what will be the second stage? That is 10 years. After 10 years, what you will going to do this? Whether the government is having any scrapping policy for this? Or even if they do the disposal, even if they do the scrapping, where they going to dispose it this? Whether they will put it in the sea, or whether they will going to dump it in the ground that draw earth?
Both of which is unsafe.
Not safe. Both are not safe. That's what. See, the government itself is not under the correct perception. And this all EVs, technologies, everything, whatever they say, one day this itself will going to take away our future generation. That's what I want to say.
Fair enough, fair enough. I think we need to think about it. It shouldn't be a plastic menace. It shouldn't be that we are happy carrying plastic bags. 50 years later, we wake up and see plastic dumps everywhere.
Yes.
So that's a good argument, sir. Mr. Radhakrishnan, before we move ahead, since we are discussing, we are closing arguments. From your assessment, you mentioned the good and the bad. What is the future roadmap for fleet operations, logistics in India looking like for you 5 years, 10 years ahead?
Yeah, totally changing in Karnataka market is fast growing this transportation system actually. See, last year to now, 2022 onwards now, we are 10% increase in the vehicle buying, purchasing in commercial vehicle also I am telling. There's goods and other large scale vehicles also in 7% increase. That's why we are in fast now. Road work also in fast, and same tourism sector is also in highest developing in Karnataka and compared to other state. In Tamil Nadu is first place and fourth place in VR, but we are in a fast growing city. That's why we have the good option to make the development of business and all. In IT hub is also in developing Bangalore, in Karnataka state, all the nook and corner of the districts also in improving the IT hub also. In many engineering colleges are developing engineering students also. That's why we have the good opportunity for making the good business in taxi and luxury taxi segment also. I am operating luxury taxi, that's why I am telling that segment also in very good opportunity. Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so
yes,
since I didn't know that, a question on that. Since you're operating luxury taxi services, what sort of traction are you seeing, sir, post-pandemic now, this year specifically?
Post-pandemic, most of the people using own-use vehicles actually, but also in high-value vehicles also using most of the passenger changed now. Most of the business people using individually running for the luxury taxis. Means I am telling more than 25 lakh, 30 lakh costly vehicle.
Is it only used for corporate reasons?
BMW, Benz, and that kind of vehicle I am telling. Most of the people are using.
Okay.
That before looking for some people only using that vehicle. Now normally all the people are in business people using the luxury taxis now.
Everybody wants luxury.
That's what I am telling. Now 7 airports are come in Karnataka state. We are thinking airports in every district airport now, how we run in our business, but develop that business also. But competition, little bit competitions, I am told that EV vehicles come, no? That is a very expensive vehicle. That is 2.5 crore, 3 crore, 3.5 crore rupees vehicle. We are in buy just for 60 lakhs or 1 crore rupees vehicle. But this is little bit competition. But we once come the business means we run that competition also in fight with the competition.
I am sure you'll give a tough fight, Mr.
Yes, we are ready to fight.
Absolutely. So your closing arguments, please. What do you see the road ahead for, transport business in Karnataka specifically? Very interesting. I was just told people are coming to Namma Bengaluru. Everybody wants to come to Bangalore, not just for the weather, but also for the hospitality that Karnataka has to offer. I lived in Karnataka. I lived in Bengaluru for 2 years. One of the best places to live. It is, as per many surveys, most livable place in India. What is the state and the road ahead for transport in next 5 to 10 years?
See, road ahead, it is optimistically, it is going to grow, that is for sure. And, problem is there are a lot of big players entering into the market, which is affecting the small players as well as the single truck owners. So this has to be balanced somewhere for the industry to sustain and do the business. Of course, infrastructure-wise, if you say, yes, we are having a lot of roads and other amenities compared to what it was. And now, yes, there is something, but yet it has to be improved. Again, it has been charged on the drivers, on the owners itself as toll and other charges. Wherein we were, I think in the last session, you were talking about the cost reduction. Cost reduction, it is not only on the operators you can ask for. It is, you have to ask with the government also. The fuel rate has been increased drastically. The toll rates have been increased. The tire rates, the Continental itself knows that how it is drastically increased in the last 5 to 10 years. So there are so many factors which is going to affect the cost. It is not just the transport operators. It is the entire system we have to, look into. Maybe the taxation also. So all put together, if we try and work hard, I think we can do something good for the nation.
Work hard, we all must. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
gentlemen. Absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you. All right, we'll begin the next section in just about 30 seconds from now. Thank you. Good afternoon. The 30 seconds became 30 minutes, or just short of 30 minutes. May I please request everyone to take their seats? We are going to begin very, very shortly. Request everyone to please come in, take their seats. We'll get time to meet and greet. All right, continuing with our discussions on the progress made as far as transport and logistics sector in India is concerned. Moving ahead with schedule, may I please call upon Rajneesh Kochkave, Head of India Markets Direct Sales, Continental Tires, to come and apprise the audience on the progress made in road transport sector as well as the strides of Continental Tires. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And after the lively discussion that we had, good to know diverse feedbacks, diverse perspectives. I am here to talk about a technology which is fairly new to the country. And we have kind of taken a lot of help from our global competencies that we have in terms of how we manage, how we can manage fleet better. And we call it 360-degree Conti Connect. So before I get deep into it, I think a small video will talk about it, and then I get deeper into it. We can go in? Yeah. Oh.
The wheel, always a driver of change and a driver of business. But now we've reinvented it. Welcome to the second age of the wheel, an age of data in which managing your fleet becomes easier than ever. Because with Continental Digital Solutions, you are now directly connected to your tires. The data we collect and analyze for you constantly inform you about your tire's pressure, warn about potential damages even before they occur, and let you know when it's time for a change and which tire to choose. This way, you can not only reliably plan maintenance, you can also lower your fuel consumption and carbon emissions, whilst keeping your drivers safely on the road. But most of all, you get more uptime for your fleet, while your mind has a bit less to worry about.
So this is a new thing that we have introduced. We have. Why is it moving? Yeah, so this is a new technology that we've introduced, wherein a real-time data in terms of tire maintenance and tire technology is now available to the fleet owners. I understand we have a lot of telematics which give you real-time data with respect to whatever is happening with the vehicle. But if one has to look at the status of tires in terms of temperature, pressure, how the tires are doing, how many kilometers. Now, this is where what we offer as 360-degree Conti Connect that comes into a picture. So we have two solutions for it. One is it works through a Bluetooth dongle and gives you a real-time data, and you can devise, I mean, you can have 4, 5, 6, 7, the number of people that can have access to the real-time data. So there is a sensor which is there in the tire. I think that was clear in one of the shots. And this sensor talks to the CCU, as we call it, Central Command Unit. And through Bluetooth, it transmits the real-time data to cloud services, and it is accessible to, I mean, you can decide the number of people who wants to see it. So this is for something which is on the road, let's say they're coming back 10 days, 15 days, that is how it is. But for, I would say, for buses which are like coming back to the base location, or they're going into a yard, let's say every second day, then we have a different solution. We call it a yard reader. Then the sensor talks to the yard reader and you get a real-time data. But the point is, the vehicle has to return to the yard and get in connect with that yard reader so that the data is getting transmitted. So these are the two options that we have, and depending on the requirements. So we are doing, we have been doing some, studies on this. We have tested both the machines in the country. We have done it in South. We are doing it in Central now. We want to, we will be closely starting with one of the fleets in Tamil Nadu. And the results and the feedback that we have got is extremely, extremely positive. I think we'll have. So, okay, I think I've jumped the gun. So there is one more technology that I would like to talk about, is the Conti Supreme. Now, if you, okay, it's better if I run the video.
Tires undergo a great deal of wear and tear every day. This results in high heat generation at their contact point with vehicle rims, leading to tire degradation. Mounting, demounting, and retreading of the tires not only strains the bead areas, but also makes them brittle and susceptible to breakage. And all of this results in a loss of casing value and tire life for you. This is why Continental has specifically developed the Conti Supreme technology for our tires. Our new rim strip compound with superior anti-aging properties enhances tire bead flexibility, strength, and tear resistance. This results in robust and durable tire beads that improve tire retreadability. Additionally, a tire with Conti Supreme technology is 4 times easier to mount as compared to a tire with a conventional compound. Enhanced bead flexibility from the technology subsequently minimizes damage caused by mounting and dismounting. Conti Supreme technology ensures that our tires withstand heat degradation and are perfect for retreading throughout their lifetime. We are happy to announce that Conti Supreme technology has now been incorporated into all radial tires manufactured at our plant in India.
So what it basically does is, like, we have compared the data from the tires where we did not have the Supreme technology. I mean, this is an established fact that our tires are best when it comes to retreadability. Now, for retreadability, you need to have a good bead. I mean, if you don't have a strong bead, the retreadability becomes a little difficult. After the Supreme technology, what we have observed that our tires can go up to 3 retreads. It can go to 3 retreads. Obviously, if you don't have injuries and external abuse. And this is what we have seen. This is what we have kind of tested with people where we have supplied these tires. I would not take the name of competition, but we have seen with the closest competition, we did an analysis that when a tire, let's say the first time, the tire, when it is taken off the vehicle, what is the bead strength? We realized that after this technology, after we incorporated this technology, our bead strength is almost 3 times stronger than what we saw of the competition. So not only have we improved with respect to our own previous generation of tires, but we are also better when we look at the competition, and that would explain why the casing value for us is one of the best in the industry. I mean, if you compare with, if you have to do a casing, sell a casing, it always gives you a best value as compared to all other tires. And retreadability, I mean, I know in this part of the world we do a lot of retreads, unlike in some other parts. So you can always, and that is the whole idea why we are sitting here. Please give it a try and see to it, you'll find a better retread apart from all the other benefits that we are talking about. So there are 3 kinds of services that we offer. If you see, there is a core service, there is an advanced services, and third one is digital solutions. Now, the one I would not call it drawback, but one limitation with digital solution is that it only works with tubeless tires. I mean, I cannot fit a sensor on a tube type tire because then I cannot stick it on a tube. I mean, the cost will go extremely high. But for the tube type segment, we have something what we call a core service, which is like the driver training, fleet training, fitter training, how to mount, demount, all those things, why air pressure is important, why we should look at the tires in terms of how the vehicle management is happening. So those are the services. In advanced services, we have electronic tools which we call probes. These are not manual. So normally when you look at in the market, people have manual gauges which they put in the tires, and then they'll tell you what is the NSD, and that is how they operate. And plus they have some pressure gauges which tells them what the pressure is for the tires. We have developed something called probe, which gets integrated with your system. We have our online system. So the moment we put that probe onto your tires, it automatically populates the electronic system. So there is nil chance that somebody can manipulate the data. I mean, normally it happens that, if I am doing some fleet analysis, or if I'm checking my tires, I will have a tendency to do something and show it in a better light as compared to competition. To negate that, we have developed this probe wherein you cannot fiddle around with this data. So whatever is the data, it tells you actually what the data is. We have a very good system in which we present the entire data to you. It tells you a lot of things, where the inflation pressure is low, where the inflation pressure is high, what is your NSD, when should the tire go for a change, do you require anything to be done, how the vehicle management needs to improve. So we have a set of report which we can share, which we do share. So that comes under advanced services. Now this is applicable for all, but digital solutions, as we explained in the previous video, is applicable for tubeless tires as we speak. And I think most of you would be knowing, but possibly we are the only country where we are still running on tube type tires. Even in countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, we have all tires running on tubeless, leave alone Europe, America. So most of the technology that is getting developed globally will focus and center on the tubeless kind of a tires, not the tube type ones. Possibly we are the only country we also running on TBX tires. The TBX has been phased out globally a long time back.
As a fleet manager, you carry a lot of responsibility. Conti Connect makes digital tire monitoring possible. It's quick and easy. But how does Conti Connect Yard work? A high-precision sensor inside the tires measures the pressure, mileage, and temperature, so you always stay informed about the tire health. Let's take a look at your fleet. Your vehicles regularly return to a hub or a depot. Then Conti Connect Yard is the optimal solution for your fleet's tire management. The Yard reader receives tire data from all sensors. It can be installed at a checkpoint of your choice. Every time the vehicle passes the checkpoint, the tire sensors transmit the data to the Yard reader. From here, the data is transferred to the Conti Connect backend. There, the data is processed and made available to you via the Conti Connect web portal or the Conti Connect on-site app. Use detailed analysis and reports on the tire status of your vehicles, as well as alerts via email or SMS to perform necessary maintenance and services activities.
So this is what I was trying to explain. If you have a vehicle which comes back to the base station within, let's say, a couple of days, you can also use Yard reader as compared to CCU. So this is something, if you can see what offers that we are trying to pitch in for this event only, and whatever bookings that we get. So these rates or these prices will be valid only for the booking that we received today. Otherwise, the rates are pretty different. In tubeless, what we're saying, anybody who is placing an order between 25 to 49, we offer 3 FOC tires. If the tire size, I mean, if we order higher number of tires, 50 tires, then we are offering 7 FOC tire. And similarly for tube type, 4 tires on 50 and 8 tires on 100. I will also would like to give you some idea the costing with respect to yard readers and the sensors. It looks pretty blurred. Can we read it? Not possible, no? That's true. Okay, so maybe during the lunch, I mean, we'll be able to communicate to you whatever is there in terms of what best prices that we can offer, the services that we have to offer. Yeah, we'll share the data. We'll share the data. Is there anything else? You have to come in.
Can I take this? Yeah. So, as like what Rajneesh explained, we have the digital solutions, and currently we have introduced the digital solutions in your market. We are, as an introductory offer, we are offering that at a price with a 50% kind of an introductory discount. And if you just look at over here in a slide, considering the cost of the yard reader and the cost of the sensors, probably with a fleet of 10 buses, considering 6 tires on one bus, the cost goes as roughly around 4,20,000 rupees. But over here, we are offering you as an introductory price of 2,40,000 bucks. And then if you just look at, for our trucks as well, we have all these things. If you just look at the sensors currently is being priced at 4,000 INR. With 50% discount, it comes as 2,000 INR. Conti pressure check with all these tooling, wires, and harness comes as 36,000 INR, which is the regular price. But as an introductory, it comes at a price of 18,000 bucks. Over here, I just try to do some kind of an ROI analysis for you guys, because it's an investment which you are going to make in digital solutions, and you will expect that what is the return I'm going to make out of the investments which I'm making. So considering the kind of the investment like a 2,40,000 investment which is going in a buses, in 10 buses with a yard reader, considering what we have shared previously, which talks about with the digital solutions, you will be going to envisage a 20% increase in mileage, 3% reduced fuel expenditures. Along with that, it comes with a lesser downtime, which cannot be quantified, but probably if you experience over a period of time, you will have a much more benefit coming out of it. So with this kind of an investment, yearly, against an investment of 2,40,000 with a certain assumptions that the fuel cost is roughly around 90 rupees per liter for a diesel, considering the fuel efficiency of a bus as 4 km per liter, you are going to save roughly around 11 lakh rupees in a year. And how you are going to save 11 lakh rupees on a year with only 10 buses is 20% increase in mileage and 3% reduction in fuel expenditure. We have showcased all these things over here. We have the tire gallery over here. We have just showcase our products for both tube type and tubeless. Along with that, we have digital solutions like how the sensors looks like, how the yard reader looks like, and we have also got the digital solutions specifically when Rajneesh is talking about the NSD gauge and how the data is getting populated. Along with that, we have some kind of a tabletop where we're just trying to show you how the process flow is happening and how the sensors are connecting with the vehicles and how we are capturing the data and how the data is getting populated onto cloud, and from there how it is coming onto your mobile or onto the webs. So over to you. Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, that's all. Thank you so much. And we would like to use this opportunity from now on to network and see any queries. We are 6, 8 of us. Please feel free to interact with us and ask any question that you have. I'll share my card. Any query that even after this meeting is over, you are free to give me a call and we'll try and give you the best possible responses. Thank you so much. And I think we should break for... Oh, sorry. Please come.
Thank you, Rajneesh. Although I must say you have to stay back. Thank you for that lovely presentation, but you're on with us on the next panel. But before we do that, just as Rajneesh said, Continental Tires is offering special discounts for all the attendees, all the transporters, so you can get in touch with the look at the eligibility criteria and kindly register yourselves on nominateawards.com. But let's move on. We are running short of time to our second panel discussion, which essentially is on sustainable roadmap for road transport sector. Now, before we kickstart, let me then quickly call on Rajneesh. Please come and join us. Thank you very much. Sainath Duvuru, co-founder, chief business officer, Happy Locate. Girish Nagpal, CEO, co-founder, Metro Ride. Gentlemen, please join us here on stage. Thank you. Let's lift some spirits, please, with claps. Thank you. We are heading towards lunch very, very shortly. Just bear with us for about half an hour to 45 minutes. Hopefully half an hour, not 45 minutes. All right, it's interesting. You know, we were talking about sustainability right before this in our first panel. And sustainability is important. We all know why. We want to leave a better future for our children. We want a better future for ourselves, and it's not possible unless sustainability remains one of the cornerstones of how we progress and move ahead. But more so, when an entire industry has on its shoulders the burden of sustainability to a point where charges are levied every day by one research or the other, that transport and mobility will contribute to the damage to environment and pollution more than any other sector, any other industry. We don't want that to happen. We want our children to have a safer future, and we want to grow sustainably. Efforts have been made, but let me first come to you, Rajneesh, since you're here joining us for the first time on this panel. You heard all the discussions that happened, and we left off on a very interesting note around e-mobility, e-vehicles. Strides have been made, but we're not there just as yet. How can the tire industry contribute towards electrification of fleet and mobility in near future? What sort of strides have you made in the past couple of years, so to say? In a year or two, we've seen increased impetus towards electrification of fleet.
See, one of the things that we are pretty committed to from a sustainability perspective is how do we reduce the carbon footprint and how do we bring in the carbon neutrality. Aside from that, we are also committed to use as much as possible recyclable materials. I mean, these are some of the things which are getting talked about in a big, big way. If I talk about our company's global, I would say global goals, we plan to be going carbon neutral zero by 2050. And for India, if you look at the Indian government, I think they are trying to reduce carbon emissions from, I think, 35% to 20% by 2030. This is the Indian government that they're planning to do. And we are also trying to see how best can we bring changes into our tire technology, which reduces the carbon emission and also encourages us to use recyclable material. I mean, you would be very surprised to know that globally, since 2019, we are manufacturing bicycle tires from dandelion flowers. So we are not using rubber. So the rubber that we get from these dandelion flowers, that are being used for manufacturing, serial production of bicycle tires. We plan to extend that to even passenger car tires, and then subsequently if we can extend that to truck tires. Secondly, the polymers that we use in our tires, we are planning to replace that. We're not planning, we have the technical competency to replace that with the polymers that we can derive from PET bottles, the plastic bottles that we have. So that in a way takes away the polymers that we normally use, which has to undergo a process called polymerization, and which has a higher carbon emission as compared to the process that we want, that we've already adopted. So I would say from a, see, why do we even talk about EV? EV is basically spoken about, we want to bring a greener fuel, we want to reduce carbon emission, we want to have a climatic situation which kind of, before I would say improving, stops at where we are in terms of the catastrophe that we're looking all around. I mean, look at Europe, look at US, flash floods, temperatures going up. So these are all signs that we're looking at. And to ensure that, you know, along with EV, the kind of tires that we bring in also support the sustainability, and we are able to contribute to the climate change in a positive way, is what we're working on.
Okay. And from what I understand, there have been developments, albeit not at a speed that we would like, but it's moving swiftly. Government's own target of electrification of fleet by 2030. I'm not sure how near we are to the target, but you know, from a very core show of hands that we did just about half an hour ago, we know that we're not there just as yet. And the target is just around the corner, 2030, just about 7 years from now, or 6.5 years from now. But you know, with that, let me come to you first, Sainath. You run a relocation service, and so perhaps you're more aware of some of the pressing challenges when it comes to facilitating fleet and logistics on road, movement of people, movement of goods, movement of cargo. As far as sustainability of that movement on a roadmap ahead is concerned, how far do you think the national logistics policy has been able to arrest some of the challenges in the past 1 year?
So I think when we talk of sustainability, I think one of the major challenge which comes on the ground is the infra which is available. Today, I think a lot of huge strides in passenger cars, passenger vehicles, right? Majorly two-wheelers and not commercial four-wheelers, but I think there's an infra which has happened already. But when we talk of long-distance vehicles, the infra is not available. I think I was listening to one of the video of Nitin Gadkari. I think he was talking of, in Sweden, I think there are public transport vehicles which are available where they run on an electric line for 20 kilometers and then they can run without an electric line for 200 kilometers. I think what we need in India is majorly a technological revolution in terms of public transport. I think private transport, majorly I'm talking of people like us who own our two-wheelers or four-wheelers. A lot of things are happening there, a lot of incentives are available. I think the earlier panel spoke of electric vehicles, which are at least 40% costlier than diesel vehicles. But we have to move towards buying, I think, acquiring or owning those electric vehicles for a greener future. But I think on the contrary, what we should, while people talk of all these are greener vehicles, but the electricity which is produced, right, the core electricity is produced by at least 50% of still the production is based on your fossil fuels. While the tail end pollution is something that we are controlling through your electric vehicles, but the electricity which is being generated to run these vehicles on the ground is still based on fossil fuels. And while we are doing a lot of development in terms of renewable energy production, including your solar, including your windmills, I think there are new kinds of electricity being developed, including I think hydrogen vehicles are being tested and tried. I think this technological revolution is something which is required. While I think the previous panels also spoke of the batteries which are currently used, they have only one life, two life. So today, I think the whole electric vehicles, while they had been in the thought process of a lot of technologists for almost 2-3 decades, but now it has become buzz. People start using it. Similarly, I think a lot of technology would also be developed now to reuse these lithium-ion batteries. Now we are moving towards aluminum-based batteries. A lot of this technology is still under development, and it needs a lot of investment, both from the government and private sector companies like us all as well, to find out those technologies to ensure that our footprint is reduced.
Okay.
Correct?
Okay, all right, interesting. Girish, two interesting facets that I heard in the last half an hour. One is the cost of electrification. When you're going to burn fossil fuels to generate electricity, to power those electric vehicles, what's the point? Because you're still polluting the environment. The second is, what do you do with the lithium-ion batteries? You dump them on ground, you pollute the soil. You throw them in the sea, you pollute the water. So you've got to have a long-term strategy in place. What is that long-term strategy in your view? If you are not to electrify, then what are the alternatives available to fleet operators?
Sure. Namaskara, Bengaluru. Thanks at the onset. Let me thank TV9 and Conti for having us here. I think sustainability today is not a buzzword. Every single person, if you look at right from an individual entrepreneur to Modi ji, everybody is on the same page. And electric mobility, yes, I understand my fellow panelists from the earlier panel as well spoke about what do we do once the lithium is unusable. But if you look at today, we got to start somewhere, right? So electric EV, the way it is run today, my fellow panelist actually said 50%. I'll be very happy if it was 50%. Over 90% of the power generated is still through conventional means. So that is not the ultimate thing. But the good thing is, electric mobility is going to solve a lot of our problems, because one is, of course, the tail end emissions are immediately removed. And there are, I know of multiple companies working on the second life, on the recyclability, and also on how do you actually make or decompose lithium in a better way, right? So there are multiple companies in the metallurgy which are working not just in India, but globally. I know that there definitely will come a solution where we would be able to come at a point where we are able to at least, if not recycle completely, ensure that it is not too harmful for the planet in the long term. But if you look at electric mobility, because I run a electric mobility only fleet, so trust me, it's not just sustainable in the long term, it also helps us.
Profitable?
It definitely, if you look at the operationability, yes,
Okay.
there are the initial cost is much higher, like everybody said. But if you look at your fleet, you make money when your fleet is on the ground, right? And every time your vehicle is running, you have OPEX. So if you look at the TCO, or the total cost of ownership, definitely for a fleet is the ideal case to have an EV. If you look at adaptability today, all the adaptability today is coming from B2B fleets. You talk about the Amazons, the big baskets, or the Flipkarts of the world going to their vendors. And the first sweet spot which has come in the industry is the sub 1 ton vehicles. If you look at most of the cargo in that segment, in the L5 category, is now coming. Even if look at the numbers, the overall adaptability might be less than 2%, 3%. But in that very segment, over 35% of the new vehicles coming in are EVs.
Okay, you said something very interesting. I have to bring this up. So for somebody, first generation entrepreneur, looking to start an e-mobility business, are the margins better when compared to a traditional ICE engine powered business? In your assessment and your own assessment of running a successful e-mobility business, are the margins better? I know the initial cost is high, but do you eventually end up covering those initial costs? And
Again,
how long? In how long?
That's a very tricky question, because it all depends on the end use case. If you run a business which wherein you're going to be intra-city more often than not, because the infrastructure, like he very well mentioned, is not ready. But there are some use cases, if you talk of a hyper-local mobility, where you can actually partner. There are so many stakeholders who've come together. You talk about any big company which is into oil today is venturing into electric mobility, because of course one is they want to diversify and they want to go carbon neutral in the long term. So there definitely are use cases where electric mobility can give you better margins, and it has started with the last mile, the hyperlocal mobility. You talk about passenger mobility, you talk about cargo, especially for the last mile. because first and last mile is very different in passenger. The first mile in cargo is very different. But the last mile, if you talk about the short distances, the hyperlocal business cases, there definitely electric mobility is the lowest hanging fruit.
Okay, interesting, very interesting. So if someone looking to start business, you have a user case scenario here. You know, for the very first time, it's important to also point this out. The first time I sat in a commercial electric vehicle was when I was coming to attend this event. So it so happened from our Delhi office in TV9 Network to the airport, we happened to travel in electric car, and my first experience of it was smoother, it was on time, it was better. The experience overall was better. So I'm hoping we are heading towards a future where we see more electric vehicles on road, not just as private passenger cars, but also perhaps as commercial vehicles. Rajneesh, going beyond, I don't know if you've touched all ground. I see Sainath wanting to say something.
I wanted to add a small data, right? I think, the public transport that we're talking of, there is a small statistic which was a public bus, the usage was 115 rupees per kilometer for a diesel vehicle. And when you're using a biodiesel, it is in majorly, I think it was in Nagpur or Bombay when they tried biodiesel vehicles, it has come to 78 rupees per kilometer. Interestingly, when they're using electric vehicle, it was just 50 rupees per kilometer. So economies of scale is very important in commercial vehicles. Now, when I'm running an entire electric vehicle with only 30% capacity, right, I think that will not work. Like I think Girish was telling, the velocity of the vehicle is very important for you to become profitable. If you're having a fleet of 30 vehicles and only 3 vehicles is being used on an average, and that will not be viable at all. So I think we all, as users, I think we have to strive towards using electric vehicles. I at least personally started using only electric vehicle from airport to my house. I think these are the few small strides which would encourage EV vehicle owners and commercial EV vehicle owners to move forward.
You know, I don't want to make an argument out of privilege, because it's easy for a lot of us to say, please buy electric cars, use electric vehicles, but if it's more expensive, it takes a dent on our pockets, and a lot of us don't want to do it. You cannot make people, take to electric cars or take to electric rides if they're more expensive than your traditional diesel petrol cars. So I think it's therefore also important to pass that benefit on to the last customer, so that they are encouraged towards buying or taking to electric vehicles. I think that is all the more important to encourage people to do it.
That's actually happening with a lot of these EV vehicle cabs, right?
Right.
So the usage of the cost of travel is also a little cheaper than your traditional transport. I think he also saying that competing with them on the ground is not economically viable for a diesel vehicles, right? But no, that's the way I see. That's the way forward if you want to work towards a sustainable future.
Absolutely. So let's move ahead from e-vehicles specifically to larger discourse on sustainability in road transport sector. When we talk about sustainability, we also talk about not just the engine, but the fact that transport pollutes, Rajneesh. We have a scrappage policy now. We did not in the longest time. But, vehicles are often a source of great pollution. Various studies have pointed it out. And we are standing at a crossroads. The road transport sector is standing at a crossroads. On one hand, you want to promote, you want it to grow. On the other hand, it harms your environment. Where do you come at a point, or where do you come at a midpoint where there is a semblance between the two objectives to control that pollution but also ensure growth? What sort of roadmap do you see for sustainable transport?
Good question. See, there cannot be an easy solution to this, and there are no right answers or wrong answers. I think to say that in 2 years' time or 3 years' time we'll do away with all ICE vehicles, impossible. It will not happen. Or to say that, the EVs, they will replace the entire thing, or we move to something else, or we'll invent or discover a new fuel which will not pollute the environment, yet are fit to be driven or fit to be used in the commercial vehicles. That also I see very grim possibilities. Now, the only thing that I think that we as partners in this industry and users and transporters, what we can definitely do is, how do we upkeep and maintain the vehicles in a way which reduces the pollution to the maximum? I have seen, all of us have seen buses and trucks moving on the road and spewing so much of, the polluting, the fuel, smoke that you see coming out. At least that if we start to, start maintaining the vehicles at a certain level, and there if I can promote something that we have been working on, if you look at what I described as a 360-degree solution, I mean, they not only help you to, minimize your downtimes, because you take care of your tires, and when you take care of your tires, you also see the vehicle maintenance that has to be taken care of. So if we, this is one small step. I would not say this is the panacea which will take care of everything that we are suffering from. But this is a small step. If I'm using a 360-degree solution, possibly it tells me that, possibly the rim has some problem, the hub spoke, they have some issues, because of which the tire temperature will start to rise. And you will get immediate alert saying that, the temperature of the tire is rising. With this, you can also prevent future accidents. We did receive a lot of positive comments from our customers who have been using this, that because of you, not only that we could avoid an accident, but also it could be loss of life, it could be anything. So one is this. Secondly, I would say that lot of fleets that I've visited, they are not very careful and particular about fleet management. They believe in it, but I see a lot of times a lackadaisical approach in terms of the way their vehicles are being maintained. There I would urge that, if we cannot do anything, at least let us ensure that our vehicles are properly maintained, we are serviced, the tire management also is done at a, at a frequency, and that's taken care of. That would, again, as I said, there are no panacea that we can offer right away. But this will gradually start to, government has started a scrappage policy. Please, we can also make use of that. Vehicles which are older than a certain age, and we know that they are polluting environment. Let's change them. Those are few of the steps that we will have to take. See, if we expect everything to be done by the government, it will not happen. We'll have to partner, we'll have to, raise our hands, contribute, and see what we can also do to, make sure that we have lesser pollutants, and how can we make this environment more livable, if I can say that.
All right, more livable, because we haven't inherited the earth from our ancestors, we've borrowed it from our children. That is what I believe Mahatma Gandhi said so. I am not sure, I think someone will correct me there, but I just have a few more minutes. Sainath, we know that we want to do better, but we also want to make and not enforce it on fleet owners who already have a very high cost burden. We had some of them speaking about the kind of cost burdens that they have at the moment. Margins are not looking very good, not out of pre-pandemic or pandemic era just as yet. It continues to take a beating on their morale. At the same time, we're also looking towards heading into a sustainable future. So it's a very difficult path to traverse. Rajneesh gave some of very interesting pointers, things we can do. But how do we ensure or incentivize these measures? What can the government do? What can private players do to incentivize these measures to ensure that we are heading towards a path which is more sustainable?
For a sustainable future, what I feel is there are majorly two components, right? One, you reduce the congestion on the roads. Road transport, you can't avoid a road transport at least for next 3-4 decades. Not that we don't have any alternatives. For you to carry goods on road is costlier than carrying on your rail network or rail freight, which is more costlier than your waterways. Correct. But still, we prefer road for majorly because of convenience. A door-to-door delivery can happen only on road transport. It can't happen on your rail or waterways. And so then you depend on road, and you can't negate that fact, right? And the transport industry, while we don't have a organized industry category or recognition, it is required, I would say, and they are doing that. Actually, they are running the entire country on our shoulders. Correct. And they're required. During the pandemic, the first industry which was opened was the transport industry. Correct. We all were eating food at our homes, comfort our homes, was only because of the transport industry. Now, what can government do? I think in countries like Brazil and all, we have E85, where it's ethanol 85, majorly 85% of fuel is ethanol in petrol. I think these biofuels can, while the efficiency is 5 to 6% cheaper, but the cost is much more better in terms of ethanol fuel, your biodiesel or ethanol fuels, right? Flex engines is another. While we are talking of scraping a old vehicle, now you want to scrape a vehicle where you are going to get only 10% or 15% of the scrap value, and you have to buy a new vehicle which has already increased by 30-40%. Now, the math generally doesn't work in that way, is what I feel when I spoke to a lot of our partners.
How does the math work? Could you explain to us? For example, if I scrap a vehicle after 12 years, will it be better for me to scrap it after 12 years, get 15-20% on the cost, then buy a new one, or continue running that vehicle to its 13th year?
So I think the government has started negatively incentivizing you if you have to run your vehicle. Your re-registration costs are more. See, government doesn't want these vehicles to run on the roads only because of the pollution that they create.
Right.
Now,
but as far as a common person and their pockets is
I think flex fuels or flex engines can be an alternative for this. We can change those vehicles, vehicle engines, instead of using your regular diesel. Can we switch to your ethanol? Can we switch to any other alternative fuel? I think that can increase the asset velocity or life of the vehicle, which would also increase the earning capacity of the transporters or fleet owners. That's one solution for sure, correct. And the other way is, why are we not even still having your flex engines in India? And that's something the government can always work on, why we are not having those flex engines. Now, I think we had only one manufacturer who have introduced a flex engine in India. I think these are the supports that government can always do it. And bringing alternate fuels can be an additional support penetration, correct? I think biodiesel penetration is very bad in India. Still, I'm not sure we'll be able to meet our 2025 goal of 5% or 10% is the ethanol penetration. Ethanol petrol is something that we are able to do it. I think we are doing very good in terms of E20 penetration. We are already at 13-14% last year or this year. Petrol is something that we'll be able to do it, but diesel looks like very hard because of the import restrictions on the raw materials. And these things government can definitely take care of.
Absolutely. Girish, what is the cost imperative of going green? I mean, is it too heavy on the pocket and therefore not possible to achieve?
Like I said, depends on the use case. If you look at the total cost of ownership, definitely there is an advantage for very specific use cases. So if you're only looking at going green, and see, we all spoke and we all agree that the logistics or the transport is the backbone of any economy, and you can't include or initiate something new by killing the existing, right? So there has to be a proper policy how these people who actually own the assets, they've invested in their businesses and they've been helping the economy. How do we actually create that process where either these guys are able to move to electric, if that is the way. In fact, there are a lot of industries or a lot of segments, if you see from a electric three-wheeler retrofitment, there has been a lot of successful case studies. There are companies who are actually retrofitting, removing ICE engines and making them electric. So if there is something like that, there are subsidies on that, and there are specific state governments who've gone ahead and done that. So there are some good practices, use cases, which can actually take the existing stakeholders to move together rather than just giving everything new to the electric mobility. That will not be fair. Yes, we want to go electric, but not at the cost of killing the existing.
All right, interesting. In which case, I think my last and final vote. How many of you think it's better to not scrap and rather retrofit your vehicles? How many of you love your vehicles to not scrap them but retrofit them? Okay, the rest of you want, okay, I see, okay, I see a lot of hands slowly, steadily coming up, not sure. All right, okay, I assume about 10%. The rest of us perhaps want to buy new vehicles. I mean, it's good for business, isn't it, Rajneesh? Buying new vehicles is good for auto sector, it's good for the tire industry, it's good for everybody.
I agree. In fact, when I mentioned that, buying a new vehicle in place of scrap, scrapping the older ones and buying a new vehicle, that can be a stepping stone before you go green in terms of buying an electrical vehicle. Because electric vehicle it's prohibitive in terms of cost if you look at it. Like a multi-axle Volvo, which costs you about 1 CR, the moment you go to electric, same vehicle, costs you about 2.3 CR, 2.5 CR. And yeah, and that is the kind of cost.
Electric Volvo.
That is the kind of cost. I mean, I was sitting with one of the fleets and he was like, sir, it is so expensive, what to do? But the government, state transport, MSRTC insists on having EVs if you want to attach with them. So this can be a stepping stone. If you don't want to invest in something which is so expensive, at least buy a new vehicle, same ICE, at least that will lessen the burden or pollutants with the existing vehicle, which is like pathetic. 12, 13-year-old vehicle, if it moves on road, it's a nuisance. I mean, you don't want to walk beside these. I mean, if this vehicle passes by, you're suddenly covered in all soot. It's so bad.
The owners are not going to like that, Rashish. They'll not like their vehicles being branded primitive. But I think it was a pleasure listening to the three of you. Thank you very much for taking time out. I think at that, it's a wrap on at least this panel. I'll invite my TV9 colleague, Chetra, to come and take over for the next panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಶ್ವೇತಾ. ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆ, ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ, ಸಂಚಾರ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಇಂಟರ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುವಂಥ ವಿಚಾರ. ಹಾಗೆ ಅದರ ಭವಿಷ್ಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನಾವಿವತ್ತು ಚರ್ಚೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಥ ಗೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾನು ಮೊದಲು ಇನ್ವೈಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಆ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರ ಭವಿಷ್ಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಪಾಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಹೋಗೋದು ಬೇಡ, ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಕೆದಕೋದಿದೆ. ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಗೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗೆ KN ಅಶ್ವಥ್, ಪಲ್ಗುನಿ ರೋಡ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ನ ಮುಖ್ಯಸ್ಥರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬನ್ನಿ ಸರ್, ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಕುಮಾರ್, ಓನರ್, ಸಿದ್ಧಗಂಗಾ ಬಸ್ ಕಂಪನಿ. ಸರ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಆನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್. ಹಾಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರು ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಚಂದ್ರಣ್ಣ, ಓನರ್, ಹಂಸ ಟೂರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ಸ್. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಕಮ್ ಆನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್. Upendra, Southline Transport, if I'm not wrong. Okay, it's been updated. ಎಸ್ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಅದೇ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಮಾತನಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದು ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆ, ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಹಾಗೆ ಸಂಚಾರ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಇಂಟರ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪಾತ್ರ, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನೀವಿದರ ಫ್ಯೂಚರನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಚರ್ಚೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಬಹಳ ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಹೋಗೋದು ಬೇಡ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ 9 to 10 ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ನೋಡೋಣ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂಥ ಡ್ರಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತಾ, ಇಫ್ ನಾಟ್ ಏನು ಡಿಮೆರಿಟ್ಸನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ ನೀವು ಅಂತ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವೇ ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್. ಅಶ್ವಥ್ ಸರ್
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ TV9 ಸಾಧುಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಕಳೆದ 10 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ 9 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಸಾರಿಗೆ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಈಗಿನ ಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು 2ನೇ ಬಾರಿ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಇದ್ದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಸಂತೋಷ. ಅವರು ಕೆಲವು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ LCV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಲಾರಿ ಮಾಲೀಕರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು ಸಾರಿಗೆ ಮಂತ್ರಿ ಆದಾಗ. ನಮಗೆ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಗವರ್ನರ್ದೊಂದು ಎಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. 80 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಬಿಲೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು LCV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಲೈಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಲೈಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರು. ಮತ್ತು ಮೊನ್ನೆ ಅದೊಂದು ನಮಗೆ ಕನ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ಹಳೆಯ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ 19 ವರ್ಷದ ಮೊದಲು ಯಾವುದು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯೋ ಆ ಗಾಡಿಗಳು ಹಳೆ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಟ್ಟಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ಎಚ್ ಬಿ ಎಂಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸಲೇಷನ್ಗೆ 1000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಮಾಡಿದರು. ಅದನ್ನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಳೆ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ 300 ರೂಪಾಯಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನಮಗೂ ಇನ್ನೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ದು ನಮಗೆ ಇಂದಿನ ಸಾರಿಗೆ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳಷ್ಟಿದೆ. ಏಕೆಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಸಿಟಿ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಲಾರಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗಳು ಕಳ್ಳತನ ಆಗೋದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಈ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೈದ್ರಾಬಾದು, ಚೆನ್ನೈ, ಬಾಂಬೆ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ CCTV ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾಗಳು ಅಳವಡಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ಥರ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರತಿ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗಳು ಇದೆಯೋ ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಈಗಿನ ಸಾರಿಗೆ ಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಈ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯವನ್ನು ಒದಗಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಲಾರಿ ಮಾಲೀಕರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರತಿ ಹೈವೇಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ಒಂದು 60ರಿಂದ 80 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ರೂಲ್ ಇದೆ. ಆ ರೂಲ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಲಾರಿಗಳನ್ನು ತಂಗುದಾಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಯಾವ ಹೈವೇಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಈ ಥರ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯ ಇನ್ನೂ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆಲ್ಲ ಅವಾಗೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಹೈವೇಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಶೌಚಾಲಯಗಳಿಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತು ಲಾರಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಪ್ರತಿ ಇವಾಗ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಎಸ್ಟರ್ಡೇ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಲಾರಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ್ರಲ್ಲೇ ಲೈನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆವಾಗ ಏನು ಕಾಣಿಸೋದಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ರೆ, ಗಾಡಿ ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಆ ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿ ಇವಾಗ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ತಪ್ಪಿಸ್ಬೋದು. ಆ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಇಂದಿನ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು, DL ರಿನ್ಯೂವಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ರಿನ್ಯೂವಲ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಬಂದರೆ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲದವರೆಗೂ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಬೇರೆ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳಿಂದನೂ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜನಕುಂಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಆ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯನೂ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಈಗಿನ ಸಾರಿಗೆ ಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಸರ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬ ಇದೆ ರೈಟ್? ನೋ, ಎಸ್, ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಉಪೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿ, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ ಈ 9 years ಡ್ರಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಚೇಂಜನ್ನು? ಹೈವೇ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಅದು ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಾಗಿ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಯು ಆರ್ ದ ರೈಟ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಟು ಆಸ್ಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಹೈವೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಾಗಿದೆ. ಏನು ನಮ್ಮ ಒಳ್ಳ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ದಾಗೆ ಮುಂಚೆ 4,000 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟ್ರ್ ಇದ್ದಂಥ ಹೈವೇಸ್ ಇವತ್ತು 7,500 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟ್ರ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಶಂಸೆ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ರೋಡ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸರಿಯಾದಂಥ ಟಾಯ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಪಾರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಗಳಾಗಲಿ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನೂ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾವನೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಇವಾಗ EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ನ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಏನೋ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಪ್ರಮೋಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಇವಾಗಿರೋ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಇವಾಗ EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಾದರೆ ಇವಾಗಿನ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ನ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಾವು ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಫ್ಯೂಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್, ಡೀಸೆಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ನ ರನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಡೋದಾದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ತಿರುಪತಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನಿಯರ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 12,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಡೀಸೆಲ್ ತೊಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಬರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಬಟ್ EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಅದೊಂದು 2,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಬರಬಹುದು. ಬಟ್ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಬಸ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತು EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಪರ್ಮಿಟ್ ತೊಗೊಳಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಪರ್ಮಿಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಪರ್ಮಿಟ್ ತೊಗೋಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತು ನಾವು ಇವಾಗ ಇಂಟರ್ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಆಂಧ್ರಾಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಆಂಧ್ರಾಗೆ ನಾವು ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಕನಾಮಿಕಲಿ ನಾವು EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ನ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂಥ ಅನುಕೂಲಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು.
ಓಕೆ, EVಯನ್ನು ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ನೀವು?
ಅಲ್ಲ, EV ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ
ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಒನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಈಸಿ ಅಂತನಾ?
ಅಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್, EV ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. ಒನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ ಇವಾಗ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಟು ಇವಾಗ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೂ EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೂ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತು EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸು, ನೀವು ಇವಾಗ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇವಾಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಲು ಯಾವುದೋ 1 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಟು 1 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆದರೆ ಚಾರ್ಜಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಟು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇವಾಗ ಟೂರಿಸ್ಟ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಓಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ, ಟೂರಿಸ್ಟ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಇವ್ರು ಆ ಥರ ಚಾರ್ಜಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಥರ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ನ ಮೊದಲು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲನೂ ಚಾರ್ಜಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ನ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನ್ನ ಸಜೆಷನ್ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆನೂ ಇವಾಗ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಡೌನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆನೂ EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ,
ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿವ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇರಬೇಕು.
ಅವಾಗಾದರೆ ಅದು ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇದೆ ಒಂದು. ಮತ್ತು ಎರಡನೇದು EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಸೇಫ್ಟಿ. ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫೈರ್ ಇದಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸೇಫ್ಟಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಮ್ದೊಂದು ಭಾವನೆ.
ಮನುಷ್ಯನಿಗಿಂತ ಪರಿಸರಕ್ಕೆ ಸೇಫ್ಟಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್.
ಮತ್ತು ಈ ಲಿಥಿಯಮ್ದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಅದನ್ನು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಜನ್ರೇಷನ್ಗೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಇದೇನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಬೇಕಲ್ವಾ. EV ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಬಟ್ ಲಿಥಿಯಮ್ನ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಕರಗಿಸ್ತಾರೆ ಅದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಹಳೆ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ಗೂ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ಗೂ ರೆಟ್ರೋಫಿಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದನ್ನು ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ಗೆ ತೊಗೋಬೋದು ಅಂತ. ರೆಟ್ರೋಫಿಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ಸು ಬಾಡಿ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ನೀವು ರೆಟ್ರೋಫಿಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದನ್ನು ತೊಗೊಂಬಂದ್ರೆ EVದು ಇದನ್ನು, ಅದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾವನೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಂತಂದರೆ, ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ EV ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ನ ಇವ್ರೇನು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಫ್ಲೀಟ್ ಓನರ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ತಲುಪ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸಣ್ಣ ಓನರ್ಗೆ ಇದು ತಲುಪೋದು ಭಾಳ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇವರು ಆ ಥರ ಇ ವಿ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ನ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಆದರೆ ಸಣ್ಣ ಓನರ್ಗೂ ತಲುಪೋ ಥರ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂಥ ಇನ್ಸೆಂಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ಲೋನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಆ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಮೊದಲು ಜಾರಿಗೆ ತಂದು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇ ವಿ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಮೋಷನ್ಗೆ ಮೂವ್ ಆದರೆ ಅವಾಗ ಅದು ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಎಸ್, ನಾನು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ ಬರೋಣ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಸರ್. ಫಸ್ಟೇ ಆ ವಿಚಾರವನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದ್ರು, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಇ ವಿ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಒನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬಹಳ ಈಸಿ ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿವ್ಲಿ ಡೀಸೆಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಸಿ?
ಮೇಡಮ್, ಇ ವಿ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಲು ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸ್ ಈಸಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ.
ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್, ಒನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇ ವಿ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಬಟ್ ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಯಾರಿಟಿವ್ಲಿ ವೆರಿ ಈಸಿ ಅಂತ ಇವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಗ್ರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ?
ಈಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ವೆರಿ ಈಸಿ ಇದೆ ಅದು.
ಓಕೆ, ಈ 9 ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ಸನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ನೋಡ್ತೇನೆ? ನಾನು ತುಂಬ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. 9 to 10 ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ? ಅದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತಾ? ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿದೆ?
ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಇವಾಗ.
ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡರ್ನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಬಹಳ ನಿಧಾನವಾಗಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಈ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಚರ್ಚೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಸರ್ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಅದೇ ಕ್ವಶನನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದ್ರು, ಬಹಳ ನಿಧಾನ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಈವಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ನಿಂತು ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಲ್ಲ, ನಿಧಾನ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಸ್ಲೋ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡರ್ನೈಸೇಷನ್?
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಇಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಆಗಬೇಕಿತ್ತು.
ಎಸ್ ಎಸ್,
ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ.
ಎಸ್, ಸೇಮ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ವಿತ್ ಅಶ್ವಥ್ ಸರ್. ಮಾಡರ್ನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಬಹಳ ನಿಧಾನವಾಗಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಾನು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಾವು ಈವಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ನಿಂತು ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಇವಾಗ.
ಹೌದು ಮೇಡಮ್, ಸ್ಲೋಗ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ಆ ಸ್ಲೋಗ ಆಗೋ ಕಾರಣ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ನನ್ನ ಅನಿಸಿಕೆ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂಥ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? ಲೋಕಸಭಾ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಹತ್ತಿರದಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ, ಸೊ
ಇವಾಗ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಇವಾಗ ಲೋಕಸಭಾ ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅರ್ಜೆಂಟಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನನ್ನ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ.
ಎಸ್ ಎಸ್, ಡಿಫಾಲ್ಟ್ ಮೆರಿಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಡಿಮೆರಿಟನ್ನು ಎರಡೂ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಸೊ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಏನು ಬೇಕಿರುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅಂತ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನೀವು ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಔಟ್.
ಈಗಿನ ಸರ್ಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಸಾರಿಗೆ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ವಿ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೂ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ರೆ ತುಂಬ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಟೈಪಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಈ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಟೂ ವೀಲರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ವಿ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಟೂ ವೀಲರ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಕಾರ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಅದರೊಳಗೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ ಟೈಪ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನಮಗೂ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಲಿ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಸಬ್ಸಿಡಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದೇ ಸಾರ್ಗು ಇವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಒನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಮತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಕಂಡು ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ನಮಗೆ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ.
ಎಸ್, ಮಾಡರ್ನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನೀವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಸರ್? ಇವಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ನೀವು ಇವಾಗಲೇ.
ಮಾಡರ್ನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ದಾಗೆ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಮಾಡರ್ನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಇ ವಿನೇ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಇ ವಿ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಹೊಸ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ 28% GST ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ, GST ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಪೇರ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ಗೆ ಟೈರ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ 18% GST ಇದೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಲಿ ನೀವು ಯಾವಾಗ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ನ ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಪರ್ಚೇಸಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಟು ಮಾಡರ್ನೈಸೇಷನ್.
ಎಸ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಏನಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ? ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ವಿಚಾರವಾಗಿ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಾ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಏನಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ? ಏನನ್ನು ನೀವು ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು, ಏನನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ?
ಇವಾಗ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಇಡೀ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ನು ನಾವೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗ್ತಾಯಿದೆ. ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇದನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ, ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ನಾವು ಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟಿಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೇಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ರನ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಸ್ಸೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನಮಗೆ. ಇವಾಗ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಒಂದು ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು 45 ಸೀಟ್ರ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ 1.25 ಲಕ್ಷ ಆ ಥರ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಆಲ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಪರ್ಮಿಟ್ಗೆ. ಬೇರೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟಿಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನಾವು 50% ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈ ಥರದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆಲ್ಲನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವರ್ಕೌಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನ್ನ ಭಾವನೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ ಅದೇ ಥರ ರೋಡ್ ಸೇಫ್ಟಿ ಮೇಲೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟು ಇದನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸು ರೀಚ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇವಾಗ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಂದ ಏನೇನು ಇದು ಬರ್ತಾಯಿದೆ, ಅವರೇನು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ಯಾವುದೂ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದು ತಲುಪ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದ್ರ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗೋ ಥರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಈಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು 5ನೇ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀವಿ, 3ನೇ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಷನ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭದ್ರತೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಡ್ರಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ಗಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗಳಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎಕಾನಮಿಕಲಿ ನೋಡೋದಾದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕೊಡುಗೆ ಏನಿರಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಅಶ್ವಥ್ ಸರ್?
ನಮ್ಮ ಕೊಡುಗೆ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್. ನಮ್ಮ ಕೊಡುಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ಏನು ನಾವು ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಕಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ.
ಎಸ್,
ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸು ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಅವರು ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟೋದೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೊಡುಗೆ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟು ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಮೊದಲೇ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು ಒಂದು 15 ಡೇಸ್ ಒಂದು ಬಿಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನಮಗೆ 15 ಡೇಸ್ ಒಂದು ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಲ್ಲೂ ಏನು ಏನು ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ 30th ಕೊಟ್ಟಬೇಕು, 30th ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು. ಆ ಕಟ್ತಲೇ 50 ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪೆನಾಲ್ಟಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಥರ ಆಗ್ದಂಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಮಾಮೂಲಿ ಕಟ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಲಾರಿ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಆಪ್ರೇಟ್ರು, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಆಪ್ರೇಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನೊಂದೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಆಪ್ರೇಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ಟೈಪಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಡ್ರೈವರ್ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸು, ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಇನ್ಶೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಸೋದು, ಮತ್ತು ಲೈಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದರೊಳಗೆ ಮೊದಲು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಒಂದು ಡಿ ಎಲ್ ಯಾರು 15 ಇಯರ್ಸು ಡಿ ಎಲ್ ಇರ್ತದೋ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ವಿಮೆ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ತಲುಪಿಲ್ಲ, ಸಾರ್ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಆದರೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ತಲುಪಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಗಳು ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಗಳ ಅಭಾವ ಇದೆ. ಆ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ ಅಭಾವ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟು ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಮೊದಲು ಈ ಇಡೀ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನಿಂತಿರೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟು. ಈ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್
ಅದನ್ನು ಅಗ್ರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು.
ನಮ್ಮ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋದೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟು. ಈ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ನೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ನೇ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟು ಒಂಥರ ಆ ಬೇಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿಯಿಂದ ನೋಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಾಲೀಕರಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ಹುಮ್ಮಸ್ಸಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ದುಡ್ದು ಈ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಗಾಡಿಗಳು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ರೀತಿ ಇವಾಗ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಒಂದಿದ್ದವ್ರು 2 ಇರೋರು 10 100 ಈ ಥರ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡೋದ್ರೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೂ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆ ವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಥರ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್ ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್. ಕುಮಾರ್ ಸರ್, ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಪರಿಸರ ಹಾನಿ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತನಾಡೋಣ.
ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಂದ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇರೋದು 50% ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್. ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೇಟು ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೇಟಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರೋದು. ಆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ನು ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
ಎಸ್, ಉಪೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಪರಿಸರವನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸೋದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಾವು ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಯ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಯನ್ನು ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ದಿಸ್ ದ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್.
ಪರಿಸರ ಉಳಿಸೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಪೋಸಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಇವಿನೇ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟಾಗಿ ಇದಾಯಿತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಡಿಸ್ಪೋಸಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಿಥಿಯಮ್ಮು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನು ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ತೊಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಭಾಳ ನೋಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಮೊದಲನೇ ಇದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ವಿಚಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದಾದರೆ ಮೊದಲು ನಾವು ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಇವಾಗ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸು ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟು ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲಿ ಏನು ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಇವಾಗ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಲೋ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಫರ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡೋ ಥರ ಆ ಥರದ್ದು ಏನಾದರೂ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಬಂದಾಗ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತೊಗೊಳ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಭಾಳ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಮತ್ತು ಪರಿಸರದ ವಿಚಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದರೆ ಇವಾಗ BS6 ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ನ ಇವರೇ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮುಂಚೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗ BS6 ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಮೋಕ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟಾಗಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ನ ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟಿಗೆ ತೊಗೊಂಬಂದು ಓಡಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಕಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಲೇ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟಾಗಿ ರನ್ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೇನು ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ತೊಗೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ನೋಡಿ ಇವಾಗ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ನಮ್ಮದೊಂದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರು ಸಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲೇ ನಾವು ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಅವರಾಗಿ ನಿಯರ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 10 to 12,000 ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ ಇದೆ. 10,000 to 12,000 ಬಸ್ಸಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರು ಸಿಟಿಲಿದೆ ನಮ್ಮದು. ಇವಾಗ ಈ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟಾಗಿ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟಾಗಿ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಇದು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಸಜೆಷನ್ ರೆಟ್ರೋಫಿಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತರೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಹಳೆ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಇಂಜಿನ ರೀಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಮಾಡೋವಂಥದ್ದು. ಮತ್ತು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಕೊಡೋವಂಥದ್ದು. ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಲಿ ನೀವು ಹೊಸ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ಯಾವುದೇ ಓನರ್ದು ಸಿಬಿಲ್ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ತುಂಬ ಇದಾಗಿದೆ. ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಇದನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಏನು ಸಿಬಿಲ್ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಸಿಬಿಲ್ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಆ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ಆಗಿ ಲೋನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಆ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್ನ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಎಸ್ ಅಶ್ವಥ್ ಸರ್, ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ ಈಗ ಇರುವಂಥ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುವಂಥ ಭವಿಷ್ಯವನ್ನು ಕಾಣೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನಾ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ? ಈಗ ಇರುವಂಥ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಇದೇ ಪ್ರಕಾರವಾಗಿ ಹೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಭವಿಷ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಚೇಂಜಸನ್ನು ಕಾಣೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನಾ, ನಾವು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇರೋಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನಾ ಅಂತ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಇನ್ನೂ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗಿನ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಾಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಇದೇ ಥರ ಸ್ಪೀಡಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಲೇ ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡೌನಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಏಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟು ಇವಾಗ ಪ್ರತಿ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಗೂ ಏನು ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟು ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ RBI ರೂಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಇವ್ರು ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರು ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ RBI ರೂಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಮೊದಲು ಒಂದು 1 ಇಯರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಲಿ 1 ಇಯರ್ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಬರೋದು ಅವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ 1 ಇಯರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿತ್ತು ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟು ನಮಗೆ 10, 9% ಈ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಗ್ತಾಯಿತ್ತು. ಇವಾಗ 12%, ಒಂದೊಂದು 15% ಈ ಥರ ಹೋಗಿದೆ. ರೇಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮದು ಮೇಯ್ನು ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಲು ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಇಂಡಿಯಾಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋ ಆರ್ಥಿಕತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗಿರೋದು ನಮ್ಮದು ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಲು. ಈ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಲು ಇನ್ನೂ ಫಾಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ಈ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಬಂದಾಗೆ ಈ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟು ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ಅವರಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ನನ್ನ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ವಾಟ್ಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಸರ್? ಕುಮಾರ್ ಸರ್, ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ.
ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಲೈಕ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಎಸ್, ನೀವು ಬೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಉಪೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್, ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟಿಂದ ಬೇಕಿರುವಂಥ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಬೇಕು, ಆಗಲೇ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬೆಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಪರಿಸರಕ್ಕಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ಸ್ಗಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ.
ಈಗ ನಾನು ಮುಂಚೆನೇ ಹೇಳ್ದಾಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಧಾಕೃಷ್ಣ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಟಾಯ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಮತ್ತು ರೋಡ್ ಸೇಫ್ಟಿ ರೀಸನ್ಸ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ಸು ಈ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲನೂ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮೊದಲೇ ಅವರೇ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಭಾಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ವಿಷಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ನ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಮೇಂಟೆನೆನ್ಸು ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇವಾಗಿನ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ವೈಸ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾದರೆ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇವಾಗಿನ GST ರೇಟ್ಸು ಮತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಪೇರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಆದಮೇಲೆ. ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಸ್ಪೇರ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೂ ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆಲ್ಲನೂ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಪ್ಯಾಸೆಂಜರ್ ಸೆಗ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಕೂತು ನಾವೇ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ರಿಯಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮಾತನಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹೈವೇ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಆದರೆ ಹಿಂದಿರುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕೊಡುಗೆ ಏನು, ನೀವೇನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅದರ ಒಂದು ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಚಿತ್ರಣ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ತು ಅಂತ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ಜಾಯ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ 3. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಓವರ್ ಟು ಶ್ವೇತಾ.
Thank you, Chetra. That makes me want to learn Kannada. Well, I think with that we've come to the end of this very interesting conclave. Before I proceed with vote of thanks, please do remember to go to one of the Continental Tire representatives. They have special offers for attendees only. You can spot them. They're wearing very specific t-shirts, and go to them for your queries. Let's also quickly proceed with vote of thanks at this point in time. To sum up what we've gone through, remember, India aims to become a $5 trillion economy by 2024-25. For this connectivity, robust infrastructure will become key areas, crucial points, and the National Logistics Policy has rolled out a roadmap to boost the sector. The logistics policy, along with ONDC and PM Gati Shakti, are going to recognize the importance of logistics and the sector, help it realize India's growth and its own growth potential. Now, world is at a very critical juncture. On one hand, we continue to talk about climate crisis. On the other hand, we are talking about logistics industry, which is itself standing at a crossroad. Recent projections state that logistics will unfortunately be one of the most polluting sectors in the entire world, which is globally. So what do? We need to mitigate those challenges. During the course of this conclave, in the panels, we dwelled on last mile connectivity and policy implementations, which continue to be laggard here in Karnataka, in Bengaluru. Drivers and fleet operators have taken the hit of COVID-19 pandemic rather hard. On sustainability side, capital cost of electric vehicles is very high, therefore the pickup is relatively slow. A long-term roadmap is what stakeholders are looking for, from my understanding, a long-term roadmap that also takes into account their opinion of what's to come. Through the Leaders of the Road Transport Award, we hope to keep these conversations and consultation going and flowing. I, Shweta Kothari, on behalf of TV9 Network, take great pleasure in thanking you all for being here today. Thank you very much. We hope to see you at the Leaders of the Road Transport Award sometime by end of November or early December. We'll give you a date and a final timeline, but you can register yourself on the website at tv9awards.com. Thank you very much for being here today. Let's proceed to lunch. Thank you.